A traditionally accurate 1971 Volkswagen Beetle Bumblebee that transforms perfectly into the movie rendition of him from the 1980s movie. Man, I love me some Masterpiece. Szasse. Today we're checking out Masterpice MP-21 Bumblebee. This is the standard Bumblebee from the original G1 cartoon, and this figure is just fantastic. It comes together so well with such little seamage in there. I actually own a Beetle that I plan to make into this one day if I ever get the funds to do so, and this is exactly how I would want it to look. Fantastic looking, works pretty good, rolling wheels and all that, everything you would expect from a Masterpiece figure. This figure is awesome. The little tire in the back you can add or remove if you want to have the style of that or not. Traditionally, he does not have the wheel there, but it is always an option because some Beetles do. Kibble-wise, this figure is pretty good on the bottom. It actually just looks like a bunch of car parts. I don't see any obvious hands, feet, face, anything. Everything is nicely hidden within the insides of this vehicle mode. I think they did such a good job with this Masterpiece Bumblebee. It is highly recommended for me if you want yourself a G1 traditional collection. Masterpiece Bumblebee is definitely the way to go. Let's check out how this thing turns into bot mode. Looking pretty good. For bot mode, again, it comes out just absolutely fantastic for what we're looking for stylistically. This looks like the character, everything comes together really well. The backpack is just the right size that it feels correct. There's no part of him that just doesn't look right or feel right, which is great. Drilling into the actual figure, a couple of problems come up. First off, this does not have what I would expect from Masterpiece for hands. This is just a standard, just circular fist. There is no finger options at all, which I don't think is very acceptable for a Masterpiece figure. As well, this area here just remains blank open space where the fist folds into. And in transform mode, that should have gotten covered by something. There should be a panel or something. Even these things like folding over would have been nice. Something to be able to cover up that hole so that it doesn't just have an emptiness. So that was a little bit unfortunate. Bottoms are pretty perfect. I think the feet work out really well. It's got the ankle tilt that we're looking for. So these ankles are nicely tilting, lots of good posability. Knee joint, also not quite what I would like. So this is a single bend knee joint. We can't get some really outrageous positions because it doesn't have the double joint in there. I'd really like to see double jointed knees. That would make a big difference on this figure. Overall, leg-wise, works pretty good. You can get a lot of poses. There's a forward and backwards, very slight toe tilt on these massive toes, obviously, massive feet. And then ankle tilt is great. Waist-wise, it spins all the way around. That's really good. Up at the arms, there are these sectional joints here. So these allow for it to get a nice range of motion, as well as this ball joint here also works really well. Spinning all the way around, all the way up, what we want exactly from the shoulder. Elbow is working and is close to good. Again, it's just a single hinge there. With a singular hinge, that's not quite giving me all of the range that I would like. I'd like this to be able to come all the way up, you know, do a whole bicep curl, and you can't quite get that top of the bicep curl going on. So not full range of motion in the secondary parts of the arms or legs, but the actual hips and shoulders are really good. Of course, no fingers, can't grip things, anything like that. Head is not on a ball joint. It kind of looks like it's on a ball joint, but it's actually on a rotating hinge. So there's a rotation at the base, and then there's a hinge that allows for upward and downward movement. But really that gets us the range of motion that we'd kind of like. So it can rotate around and get looking in all the directions. So it works out. It's just not the ball joint that I'm kind of used to and like having. He also has no light piping, so his eyes don't have any possibility of glowing. Glowing eyes is a huge thing for me for Transformers. I really love light piping and good light eyes, so that was not ideal. Overall, figure-wise, again, it looks really good. It fits so well with the collection, and we'll look at that in just a moment of how it fits in, but it is probably a little bit expensive for what you're getting out of this figure. No hand joints, iffy elbows, and then just kind of a small figure. He is quite tiny, and so the Masterpiece price tag on this guy is a little bit high for what you're actually getting. He's closer to, compared to other Masterpiece figures, this guy is closer to a standard release kind of character. Now this box also came with the Daniel figure here in his little exo suit. You can transform this thing. I find it's a bit of a pain, but it does transform from this into car. So let's check out what that thing looks like after we drill over all of this. So it has these weird kind of arm joint things for flipping around. Not really a hand. If we look here, there is a fist, but again, no fingers, no movability. The character himself is very low detail in the face and can do this weird neck thing to go into the opposite mode. Legs don't have a great knee bend. Actually, there is almost no knee bend. So can't really get into any interesting poses. So again, I don't really know why they included this figure. I guess just for completeness so that you can have a scene from the movie where Daniel was in this exosuit, but I don't really feel like this was a worthwhile addition to this set. I'd rather either the set cost more so that this particular side figure was a little bit higher quality and felt a little bit better, and so that the actual Bumblebee has all of the features that I would like from a masterpiece figure. So I would say overall, if you're looking for something to stand on your shelf pretty generically and just pose with the other figures, this one is pretty sweet and works really well. If you're looking for something that really has the customization, posability, and action sequences that we're used to from masterpiece figures, I don't think this is one that is worth picking up for your collection. So we got the Moon Racer figure for Daniel there. He's got himself in car mode, so he's looking forward and driving around this little thing. Again, it just doesn't feel good. I don't know, I'm really disappointed by this add-on, so sorry that it's coming off that way in the video. I'd rather keep positivity usually, but this one is a little bit of a letdown for me. It does roll around all right, it's an okay design, and it does add for completeness and allows you to create a couple of the scenes from the movie. But I would just rather a more composable figure itself rather than have this for what few scenes this little racer Daniel gave for this collection. For an arsenal, this Bumblebee comes with one little mini Uzi cannon, which slots decently into his hands. Their hands are perfectly built to hold the Uzi, and he can wield that into a couple of shots, shooting out his laser and getting some action poses going on. Unfortunately, there's no location on his alt mode where you can actually store the gun. They didn't put a compartment anywhere where this will actually fit, so you just have to keep it stored separately. So how he fits in with the rest of my G1 collection here, I think he's a tiny bit too small. He's perfect size in car form to fit in Optimus's trailer and works really well in car form for that. But in bot form, I feel like he's just a tiny bit small. I would rather him be just slightly taller and probably my reflector slightly shorter to kind of even them out. I feel like they should be closer to the same size. But he comes up just below the hip of Optimus himself, and then all the other figures kind of tower over top of him. So there he is in his scale with my other masterpiece collection. Well, that's all I've got for MP-21 Bumblebee. Definitely a solid looking figure that fits well in a lot of collections, just doesn't have quite the quality level that I would expect from Masterpiece, is the final summary for this figure. Thanks for coming, and we'll catch you guys next time.